Welcome back. All right, so we are going to talk about the Vezina Trophy today because we're about a month out from the end of the season, and yeah, I'm wearing Rangers because it should be Shesterkin's award. But I want to talk about other goaltenders in the league, and we can talk about goaltenders that might not be getting as much attention. I also want to throw out an honorable mention at the start of this video to Sergei Bobrovsky, who in Florida is having very good numbers according to the advanced stats from moneypuck.com. So go to moneypuck.com and mess around with the charts there with goaltenders and tell them I sent you. But Bobrovsky's numbers have been very good, underlying excellent. And so while he's had issues with injuries and whatnot, and I think because Florida scores so many goals, it's easy to overlook what a good season Bobrovsky's had. Because his goals against average might be a little higher than you want, his save percentage might be a little lower than you want, but the number of really high quality shots he saves is pretty darn good. So he doesn't end up being on the board as a main mention, but I wanted to give him an honorable mention out of the gate because he's been good. I'd also say Quick has been excellent for the Kings, mostly this year, and while there's a lot of talk about how good Demko is, you can also see with the Canucks with Demko that he is still learning, right? He's still young, he's still learning, and so there are those ebbs and flows for him. And Hellebuck's had a pretty decent season overall, but I wouldn't put him in the top 10. So we'll talk about it. We'll start with Shesterkin at the top, 936 save percentage. His record's 32-9-3. Wins shouldn't matter. And I mean overall. So if two goaltenders play 65 games and their overall stats are the same, but one goalie wins 20 of his games and the other wins 35, to me that says the guy who won 20 isn't on as good of a team as the guy who wins 35. It doesn't mean he's a worse goaltender. And it is an argument that I've been making since the late 80s when I was talking to nobody, just basically a wall in my room. Weird. So the one thing with Shesterkin is that Georgiev's save percentage is .892, which speaks to Georgiev having a rough year. It also speaks to the fact that the Rangers give up a lot of opportunities 5-on-5, and Shesterkin covers up for a lot of that, right? If you look at goals saved above expected, it's 32.4. He is number one in the NHL in that number. Goals saved above per 60, 0.767. So that means that in any given game, he'll usually save one above expected, which is ridiculous. The only one even close to him is Frederik Andersen. Wins above replacement. So this is, if you put an average goaltender in instead of Shesterkin, 5.4 is the number for Shesterkin. So again, he leads in that category. And then I went back over to the NHL app, and I'm looking at games started where he has a save percentage of above 900, 79.1% of the time. And again, it dwarfs everybody else on this list. So yes, by whatever metric you want to use, Igor Shesterkin's been the best goaltender in the league. Minutes played, 2,534 minutes and 28 seconds. Now, the reason that I point that out is there are other goaltenders who are playing more. The Rangers are doing a good job of getting the most out of Shesterkin when they need to, and I think they're also doing it without overplaying him. So, Georgiev's playing a bit more than he probably would under other coaches, but clearly it looks like Gallant is making sure that Shesterkin's fresh come playoff time, and that could be huge. Goaltenders... we've talked about this in previous seasons. Goaltenders who play a ton of minutes during the regular season can tire out when you get to the playoffs. The days of a 70-game goaltender going on to win in the playoffs seemingly over. I've seen charts and graphs and all this stuff about goaltenders who've played 60 or 65 games during the regular season and how they do in the postseason. And so we'll see whether or not Shesterkin being rested ends up helping them once they get to the first round, second round, and beyond. Andrei Vasilevskiy I put next on the list, even though the overall numbers would not have Vasilevskiy there. I know he's going to get votes. Every time I watch a Tampa game, what do I hear from announcers? Not the Tampa announcers, but the other announcers. It's Andrei Vasilevskiy, the best goaltender in the world. I'm not going to argue with that. He's not having the best season of all the goaltenders, but is he still the best goaltender in the world? Probably, yeah. Now, his .919 save percentage is barely above Elliott's, who's got a .916. Brian Elliott's been playing very well, which allows Tampa to rest Vasilevskiy, which, again, is key coming towards the playoffs. His record, 34-14-4. He'll get votes if he ends up leading the league in wins again. Also, the fact he's won the Vezina Trophy before, I think, helps him get the attention. His goals saved above expected, 25.9 per 60 minutes. It is .496. So on this board here, he's below Husso, he's below Andersen, and he's below Shesterkin. So he's still 4th out of the 10 that I have on the board. But you can see that, like Vasilevskiy, while he's having a good year, nobody's going to argue he's not. Is it his best year? No. So I think he probably ends up top 3 in voting at the end of the year. I don't think he wins it. His wins above replacement, 4.32. That puts him 3rd on the board. So again, probably a finalist for the award. I don't think he ends up getting it. His games with 900 plus save percentage of his starts, 71.2%, which is high. So you have an excellent chance of getting a save percentage above 9 saves out of every 10 shots. That gives you a good chance to win your games. Minutes played, 3,133 minutes and 12 seconds. It is one of the highest numbers on this board. So Vasilevskiy's played a lot, and that may, definitely change where his stats are compared to where they might be if he was getting more rest. Which, again, if Elliott keeps playing the way he is, should allow him to get more rest, and maybe his stats go up a bit by the end of the year. Jacob Markstrom. So if I ask you the question, is Markstrom Vezina caliber, you may have one opinion, somebody else may have the completely opposite opinion, and you can make the arguments. You can make the argument that Markstrom's got a lot of shutouts, and he's been really good, and he has. His save percentage, 925, is one of the best in the league. He's 31, 13, and 4. His backup, Daniel Vladar, has a 904 save percentage, so he's 21 points ahead of Vladar. To me, that separation means something. But his goals saved above expected, 10.4. So it is one of the lower numbers. Now, I don't have a number on how many of the voters end up looking at this, how many of those who vote on this count about the advanced stats and any of that. But it's probably not 0, right? So his goals saved above expected per 60 minutes is .202, which is the lowest number on the board. So for Markstrom, could he end up being a finalist? Yes. Should he be? You can make the argument he should be by his save percentage. You can look at his advanced stats. You can look at his wins above replacement being 1.73, again, according to moneypuck.com, and those numbers would tell you no. His goals or games started with a save percentage of 900 or higher, 61.5%, which is one of the lowest numbers on the board. So he does get all those shutouts, but when he has an off night, he has an off night. And that's the thing with Markstrom, and I think that does preclude him from being, a Vezina winner. Does he end up being a finalist? It's possible. It is possible. He's got the wins. He's got the save percentage. He's played 3,083 minutes and 44 seconds for the Flames. Could get there. Freddie Andersen, 927 save percentage. Anytime you watch a Carolina game, they will talk about how he should be in the conversation, and he will be. He's 32, 10, and 3 on the season. His backup, Antti Raanta, 917 save percentage. Ranta's had a good season. Andersen's had a very good season. His goals saved above expected, 31.9, the second highest on the board behind Shesterkin, and not that far behind him either. And his per 60, when it comes to goals saved above expected, is .718. So again, Andersen's numbers have been very good. And while we all talk about playoffs, remember the Leafs, and I hear it all the time too, the reality is he's having a very good season. The Vezina is voted on at the end of the year. It is about the regular season. Wins above replacement, 5.31. That is very close to Shesterkin. So what should happen by those numbers, if you stand by those numbers, is it should be Shesterkin, then Andersen, and then Vasilevskiy in the voting. And again, games started, save percentage above 900, 65.9% of the time. His minutes, 2,665 minutes and 4 seconds. Not playing too much, and again, that can be smart come playoff time. Darcy Kuemper, who had a slow start and has had a fantastic run since then. 924 save percentage, which is better than Francouz, who's at 918, but Francouz has been good as well. Record of 31, 9, and 3. That's going to turn some heads. Goals saved above expected, 21.1. Goals saved above expected per 60 minutes, .477. So he's below Vasilevskiy in that area. He's below a lot of the others. I do wonder, how much of this has to do with the slow start he had to the season when Colorado was doing everything they could to outscore their goaltending problems. That hasn't been a problem lately. Wins above replacement, he's at 3.52, which is not too shabby. And Games started where he has a save percentage of 900 or higher, 72.3%, which is higher than Vasilevskiy's. So Vasilevskiy has a higher WAR rating, but the game started, you're going to get a better save percentage more regularly from Kuemper. So again, that's one of those points that if you want to look at that and point and say, hey, see, Kuemper's having a great year, that's the one. 2,654 minutes and 12 seconds in the net for Darcy Kuemper. Tristan Jarry, who had a fantastic start to the season this year, especially after what happened last year. 921 save percentage for him. Casey DeSmith, a 905. 33, 14, and 6 is the record. 16.2 is the number of goals saved above expected. So that's lower than a lot of the others. Higher than Markstrom, right? 0.311 is the per 60 number for him. Wins above replacement, 2.70. Again, you just put an average goaltender in there. The expectation would be you have 2.7 less wins than you do when Jarry starts. And 60.8% of the time, he has a save percentage above 900 when he starts, which is the lowest number on the board, below Markstrom, and they're both below Husso, who's the third lowest on the board. Jarry's had a lot of time in the net, 3,122 minutes and 9 seconds. And again, I don't know if GMs might look at that and say, you know what, he's played a lot, so maybe his numbers are a little bit lower because he's been overplayed at times. And there's something to that. Speaking of which, you have Juuse Saros, who's had a fantastic year for Nashville, 921 save percentage, 33, 20, and 3 is his record. Riddick's the backup with an 890 save percentage. So for Saros, there's more pressure on him. Riddick, while he's doing his best, Riddick is not giving them the numbers right now that would lead to them using him very much down the stretch with Nashville looking at that playoff line and trying to stay ahead of it. His goals saved above expected, 20.5. Per 60 minutes, it's 0.370. His WAR rating is wins above replacement, 3.41. So he's just behind Darcy Kuemper on that one. He's higher than the other three on the board here. And his game started with a save percentage of 900 or higher, 67.9% of the time. And the minutes played, he's higher than everybody else on the board, 3,321 minutes and 59 seconds. So if you want to use that as an argument and say, you know what, Saros gets wiped out, he's being overplayed, so his numbers are probably lower as a result. So maybe you want to throw a vote at Saros. I would totally understand. It's possible we see that. Ilya Sorokin. The one team on the board that's below the playoff line, I felt I had to have Sorokin on here. The 927 save percentage. His record's 22, 14, and 7. Varlamov is the backup, 914 save percentage. Varlamov's been better lately. But goals saved above expected is just a 9.0. Per 60 minutes is 0.213. So while Sorokin's save percentage is excellent, what the advanced stats would tell you, the wins above replacement being 1.49, that would tell me that this save percentage is in large part because of the kind of hockey that the Islanders play. So while the argument with Darcy Kuemper's numbers this year are, well, yeah, but look at Grubauer last year and look at him this year. Right, but Kuemper was a good goaltender before he got to Colorado. Sorokin is a good goaltender, but I do think these numbers reveal that, you know, some of this is the defensive style that the Islanders are playing. But if you want to get a save percentage above 900 for a start that he has, 72.1% of the time you get that. And again, when you look at that number compared to the advanced stats next to it, that kind of reveals maybe why. Where the Islanders are protecting him and he's maybe facing more shots from the point, more shots that he can see. He's not dealing with as many chances where his vision's impaired by somebody standing in front of him. He's played 2,531 minutes, 28 seconds overall. Ville Husso, who's become quite the story out of St. Louis, 923 save percentage for him this year compared to Binnington's 901. Husso's having a very good year. I've seen him back-to-back games against Vancouver. He was very solid. But Binnington's also had some regression in his numbers. Now, I don't think Binnington's as bad as some might say, but do I think Binnington is a long-term starter in St. Louis? I'm on the fence with that one. I've really liked Husso this year. His record's 18, 6, and 4. His goals saved above expected, 14.4 or 14.7. Per 60 minutes, 0.504. So this is where it gets interesting. Ville Husso, his overall numbers, a little bit lower here. Obviously just the 18 wins, but he's played a lot less time. So what really tells you how well he's playing is the goals saved above expected per 60 minutes. Per game, you're getting roughly half a goal less scored against you than you would if you had an average goaltender in there. So that's good. That's good. WAR rating is 2.45. Again, considering he's played fewer games, that might seem a lot lower, but he has played the fewer games, so it will be a little lower. It's still higher than Sorokin's. It isn't that far below Jarry's. It's higher than Markstrom's and Swayman, who we'll get to in a moment here. 62.1% of the time that he starts, you get a save percentage of above 900. So again, that number is a little bit lower, but his overall numbers are solid, and I thought Husso deserved to be recognized in this video. I'm not saying all 10 of these guys are Vezina caliber. I just wanted to have 10 guys on here so we'd have a lot to compare and discuss. 1,751 minutes, 44 seconds played in net. And again, the fact that his numbers are so much better than Binnington's leaves the team with an interesting decision to make in the offseason about what their route forward's going to be. And then Jeremy Swayman, who of course got banished to the minors when they brought in Tuukka Rask, which did not work out. Rask had to retire. His injury did not get any better. Swayman's numbers are good. 920 save percentage. Ullmark's at 909. I don't think Ullmark's been as bad as people have been stating, but there is the odd goal with an odor to it. 19-9-3 record for Swayman. Goal saved above expected, 10.2. Goal saved above expected per 60 minutes, 0.326. So this is where that per 60 number is important, because the 0.326 is better than Sorokin. It's better than Jarry. It's better than Markstrom. So that's why Swayman's on the list. It's not Shannon had to have a Boston goalie. No, it's Swayman's had a very good year, and again, the fact that he was banished to the minors, I found baffling, and these numbers would tell me that it just makes me more baffled. And again, I know that he didn't have to pass through waivers. I get that, but when you're sending your best goaltender to the minors, it leads me to wonder what the plan is. I'm glad he didn't stay down there. I'm sad that Rask had to retire, but I'm glad he didn't stay down. Wins above replacement for Swayman, 1.70. Again, he doesn't play as much as other goaltenders. It is still higher than Sorokin's. He's played a lot less than Sorokin. And all of these numbers include the ridiculous game against Toronto the other night. Game started where he has his goals against a save percentage of 900 or higher. I don't get into the goals against average because I think that number is unreliable, right? You can have a great goaltender that allows 4 goals. You can have a lousy goaltender that allows 1. That can happen. So 67.7% of the time you're going to get a save percentage of above 900 from Swayman, meaning that it's right in line with Saros. It's above Jarry. It's above Markstrom. It is also above Andersen, which is kind of surprising. But there you are, and he's played 1,879 minutes and 5 seconds. So there you go. 10 goaltenders compared, contrasted. You guys can let me know, somebody else, if you want. I went through other goalies. I went through, like, Hellebuck. Hellebuck's had some very good numbers. Logan Thompson's starting to put some good numbers together for Vegas, but it's a small sample size. And so, yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as always. It's not really a question of whether or not Shesterkin's going to win it, because barring a total collapse, I don't see that happening. It's his award, and all of a sudden that contract he signed, that there were some people who said, well, how did he get that money? It looks like a pretty smart down payment on what's going to be an excellent career. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.